Item number 6, proclamations and recognitions. And for those in our audience, we do have several today. So what we would ask is that you show courtesy to other individuals or groups who may be recognized and not leave the auditorium after your particular proclamation is read so that everyone can have the same honor and respect given to them. So our first one is a proclamation declaring the first Friday in June as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And I will turn it over to Vice Chair Andrews, as we'll be doing this one a little different.
Thank you. Yes, we'll be doing this a little differently. We all are taking part in this, so the motion will actually be made after we have read the resolution. And I will start. Whereas every day more than 120 Americans are killed by gun violence, alongside more than 200 who are shot and wounded, and on average there are nearly 17,000 gun homicides every year, and Americans are 26 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other high-income countries. And
whereas Virginia has 1,121 gun deaths every year, with a rate of 12.8 deaths per 100,000 people, and has the 36th highest rate of gun deaths in the U.S., and localities across the nation, including Albemarle, are working to end the senseless violence with evidence-based solutions. And
whereas protecting public safety in the communities they serve is a local government's highest responsibility, and support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories. Local officials and law enforcement officers know their communities best and are most familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep their citizens safe. And
whereas gun violence prevention is more important than ever, as the pandemic aftermath and economic stress continues to exacerbate gun violence after more than 3 years of increased gun sales, increased calls to suicide and domestic violence hotlines, and an increase in gun violence. And
whereas anyone can join this campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 2nd, the first Friday in June in 2023. To help raise awareness about gun violence. By wearing orange, Americans will raise awareness about gun violence, honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors, renew our commitment to reduce gun violence, pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands, and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe.
Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that we, the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, do hereby declare the first Friday in June to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and encourage all citizens to support their local community's efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human lives. Signed this 17th day of May, 2023, Donna Price, Chair, Albemarle County Board of Supervisors.
I'd be glad to second it. Thank you.
motion?
So the floor is open for a motion.
Then I move the proclamation. Thank you.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion from Supervisor Malik and a second from Supervisor McKeel. Without objection, if the clerk will call the roll.
Ms. McKeel?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Aye.
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Galloway?
yes.
Ms. Lepisto-Kirtley?
aye.
Ms. Malik?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Board. And Mike Fox is here, I understand, to accept the proclamation. Mr. Fox, good afternoon. When you come up to the podium, if there are some remarks you'd like to make, we're happy to hear them, and just try to make sure the microphone is pointed directly at your mouth. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'm Mike Fox. I'm the state legislative lead for the Virginia chapter of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, and I live in Crozet. I want to thank the board for their support. I do want to take this opportunity to thank Chief Reeves and our law enforcement officers for their service and for helping to keep us safe. Gun violence and gun violence prevention often isn't about who's right, but who's left. We hope that small acts like this, both locally and nationwide, will help provide some solace to those who are grieving as we turn pain into purpose and help to build a stronger community and country together. Thank you again.
Thank you. And I know the supervisors will have some comments to make as well. Supervisor McKeel?
We thank you for bringing this forward and accepting it on our behalf. And I think the numbers in this proclamation are shocking. They really are shocking, and we certainly are experiencing it within our own, gun violence within our own community. Tragically, we've had deaths this year. I think in the many years that I've lived in this community, I have never seen violence to the extent that we're experiencing it right now, and it's so very, very sad and frustrating. So thank you very much for coming and for helping us with this proclamation.
Thank you. Supervisor Andrews?
Again, thank you for bringing this forward and allowing us this time. There are some pretty grim statistics in this, and, I'm a numbers person, so when I look at 120 Americans killed by gun violence every day, but then I see 17,000 gun homicides every year, I have to quickly do the math. And I recognize that that really comes out to closer to 44,000 gun deaths per year, which means that the problem of guns is not just a homicide problem. It's obviously a suicide problem and other accidental injury problems, so it's a major factor. And in fact, a leading cause of injury-related deaths for people under the age of 24, is my understanding. So, again, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Supervisor Galloway?
I share in the comments of what has previously been said. Thank you all for being here today. It just continually astounds and frustrates me that this issue gets mired up in politics rather than just action, and the politicians can't figure out how to get themselves out of their own way to help fix this issue, because it is one that could be fixed with meaningful, reasonable solutions that don't inflict on anyone's rights and protect those who just would like to have the right to live, right? So I hope those who are in elected office can somehow find the courage or the willpower or the backbone to get themselves out of the way of or get the politics out of this issue so that we can just protect everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Lepisto-Kirtley?
I agree with what my colleagues have said, and common sense laws that keep guns away from those who should not have them and hold people responsible. We have children being killed, killing each other because they've gotten hold of a gun that hasn't been properly secured. So I do hope that common sense gun laws will be passed at some point in time, sooner than later, frankly. That would be helpful, but we can do what we can do in Albemarle, and hopefully the rest of the nation will follow suit.
Thank you. Supervisor Malik?
Well, I just wanted to thank you and your organization for the long time, years of work, and Crozet Library meetings and other places to help us developing the ordinance, and also for days like this, because that constant awareness and also all the bridges that you have built in the legislature and here has really helped to move this issue forward. And thank you very much. We'll carry on.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thoughts and prayers just aren't getting it done, and I'm tired of thoughts and prayers. As a local government, we're very limited in what we can do. I respect the Second Amendment. But when you look at the statistics, and gun death is the #1 cause of death of children in America, 6 times higher than the second-ranked country, and 20 times higher than the average around the world. We have a problem in America, and we need to do something about it. And while we at this county level are very limited in what we can do, we as citizens can vote every election, every time, and we will be able to get some changes made. I want to thank you and your other members of the organization you all represent for being here today. And I also want to thank, I believe it was Supervisor McKeel who suggested that we read this by paragraph, as a way of as a board, demonstrating our collective support for the actions that people are taking to reduce gun violence in America. And I do have the original proclamation for you if you'd like to come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Board will move now to